Hello, this brief video is intended to demonstrate how to use R to run a one-way ANOVA after selecting cases by observation or by row number. So first, we'll look very briefly at the data set that we'll be bringing in. And the data set that we have has about 105 values. The two variables are the group, which indicates the section that students were in, and the second variable indicates the exam, which is the score each student received on the exam. So the first code that I'm going to run will actually bring in the data set. And if I type head parenthesis data set, excuse me, data dot set is the notation here, it shows the first few values in that data set. And if I type tail data set, that will bring in the end of the data set. So I can see that the data set ranges from 1 to 105 values. Now, what I want to do is demonstrate a balanced ANOVA, and in this case what we have is there are approximately 21 students in each section. Unfortunately, it's not evenly distributed. There aren't exactly 21 students in the 5 sections. In fact, the smallest section has only 19 students. So a balanced design essentially says we'll use the same number of students in each group. So randomly selecting the first 19 students from each group, we would get the first 95 values in the data set, and the remaining values are the other individuals that weren't selected for our analysis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable called trim.data. And if you notice, what I've done is trim.data is the data set where I've given it the range 1 to 95, 1:95, comma, and then nothing. So that says to select the first 1 to 95 rows and use all of the columns. So if I look at the head of trim.data, I see the same values, but if I look at tail trim.data, I see that it actually ends at 95. To run an ANOVA in R, the most direct command is to type AOV parenthesis, and in this case I want to predict exam using the group scores. So it's exam tilde group, and I'll tell that the data set it should use is trim.data. Data equals trim.data. Fortunately, if I run this, something's not quite right. I notice that the number of degrees of freedom for group are 1, and there's 5 groups, so the degrees of freedom should be 4 there. And the problem is that R actually is currently thinking that the group variable, which ranges from 1 to 5, is a numeric variable instead of a categorical variable. So the way we fix that is we take group and we tell R that group is actually a factor. And now we notice that the degrees of freedom are correct. Unfortunately, the output for this analysis isn't the most convenient. So what we'll do is we'll wrap this in another function which processes the output in a format that's a little more convenient, which is the Anova function. And this gives us the desired output. To run the entire data set, I'll use the command that I just entered, but I'll change the data from trim data to data.set. This will run the ANOVA using the entire data set. We notice the results are almost the same, but they're not quite identical. I hope this was useful. Thank you very much. Goodbye.